My daughter replaced me with her rich father-in-law at her wedding, erased me to impress money, and when her marriage collapsed, she came back begging for help. I, a 54-year-old male, have been a carpenter my whole life. Nothing fancy, just honest work with my hands. When my wife split when our daughter Lily was only 8, it was just me and her against the world. We did not have much. We lived in a small 2-bedroom rental on the edge of town, the kind of place where you can hear the neighbors arguing through the walls and the roof leaks when it rains too hard. But damn, I tried my best. I worked extra jobs, took on weekend projects, and did whatever I could to make sure she had what she needed. Some nights I would come home with my hands so blistered and raw I could barely hold a fork, but I would still help her with homework. When her school needed money for field trips or special programs, I would pick up another side job. No way was my girl going to miss out because we did not have cash. Our place was not much, but I made sure she had her own room, decorated exactly how she wanted it. Pink walls at first, then those boy band posters, then finally that weird dark phase with all the string lights. I built her bookshelves, a desk for studying, and even made her a custom bed frame when she said she wanted something unique for her room. We did not have fancy vacations or designer clothes, but I made sure she never went hungry. She always had school supplies and knew she was loved. I taught her to fish at the creek behind our neighborhood, showed her how to change a tire and fix a leaky faucet. Every Sunday, we would make pancakes together and talk about the week. She was a pretty smart kid, too, always bringing home good grades. I remember how proud I felt every time she brought home her report card, watching her grow into this confident, bright young woman despite not having the advantages other kids had. When she got into college, the first person in our family to go, I nearly cried. I worked myself half to death to help with what financial aid did not cover. I lived on ramen and coffee so she could have a decent laptop and picked up night shifts at a warehouse just to send her a little extra cash each month. That is what dads do, right? You make it work. It was rough not having her around the house. Our place felt too quiet, like something important was missing. I would find myself walking past her room, looking at all the little marks on the door frame where I would measured her height growing up. But man, seeing her thrive in school made it all worth it. She would call me all excited about her classes, talking about stuff I barely understood, but I was so proud of her for learning. During her junior year, she started changing. She called less and visited less on breaks. When she did come home, she seemed kind of uncomfortable, like our little house suddenly was not good enough. She started talking differently too, using fancy words and correcting my grammar. I figured it was just part of her growing up, getting educated, and moving into a different world than the one I could give her. Then she met that dude. I will call him Nathan. During her senior year, he came from some wealthy family with a big house in the suburbs, a private school kid with a fancy car, the whole deal. The first time she brought him by our place, I could tell he was uncomfortable. He kept looking around like he might catch something from our secondhand furniture, and barely touched the dinner I made, a special roast I had been saving for, wanting to impress her new boyfriend. He kept checking his watch the whole time, clearly wanting to leave. After that, she mostly met me at diners or coffee shops when she wanted to see me and stopped bringing him around. I did not push it. I figured she was embarrassed by our modest living and that hurt, but I wanted her to be happy more than anything. So when she called to tell me she was engaged about 1 year after graduation, I was surprised but tried to be happy for her. My little girl was finding her person. She sounded so excited on the phone, talking about the big diamond ring and how Nathan's family had connections and money and how different her life was going to be. Then came the conversation that changed everything. She stopped by the house one afternoon, all dressed up in clothes that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She was fidgeting with her engagement ring, this massive diamond that probably cost more than my truck. I offered her some coffee in her favorite chipped mug, the one with the cartoon cat I had saved from her childhood. "Dad," about the wedding, she started, not quite meeting my eyes. I smiled, assuming she wanted to ask if I could help make something for the ceremony, maybe an arch or some custom signs. My mind was already planning what wood I would use. "Nathan's father will be walking me down the aisle," she said quickly, not looking at me. I just stared at her, coffee mug halfway to my lips. "Come again?" I asked. She shifted in her seat. "His family is very traditional, and his father is an important figure in their community. We have discussed it, and it would be more appropriate," she continued. "More appropriate than having your actual father do it?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She looked at the floor, at the walls, anywhere but at me. "Dad, there is something else. Nathan's family. They do not exactly know about you." That hit me like a sledgehammer. "What do you mean they do not know about me?" I asked. She twisted her ring nervously. I told them my parents were both gone. I told them I was raised by distant relatives who are not in the picture anymore. I put my mug down before I dropped it. You told them I was dead, I stated. Not exactly dead, just not around, she said. She finally looked at me, her expression pleading. You have to understand, Dad. These people are different. They come from money, from influence. They would not understand this. She gestured vaguely around my living room with its secondhand furniture and the coffee table I had built from reclaimed wood. I sat there trying to process that my daughter was ashamed of me, of our life together. So ashamed she erased me completely. 20 years of sacrifices, of working my fingers to the bone to give her a good life, and she was pretending I did not exist to impress some rich people. So what am I supposed to do on your wedding day? Pretend I do not exist? Watch from the parking lot? My voice sounded weird, like it belonged to someone else. She had the decency to look uncomfortable. I was hoping you would understand. Maybe you could come as a distant family friend, just not, not as my dad. Something broke inside me that day, all those years of putting her first, of making sure she knew she was loved despite not having much, and she was willing to deny my existence to impress rich strangers. I did not yell, I did not throw things. I just looked at my daughter, this stranger in designer clothes sitting in my living room, and said, I think you should leave now. Her eyes widened. Dad, please, I need some time, I said, standing up. This is a lot to take in. She left without another word, and I went to my workshop and built a rocking chair until 4 o'clock in the morning, trying to work out my feelings through my hands like I always have. That night, I cried for the first time since her mother left us. Not just because of what she had said, but because somewhere along the way, I had lost my daughter and had not even noticed it happening. The weeks before the wedding were probably the longest of my life. I kept going back and forth between being mad as hell and just feeling this deep sadness I could not shake. One minute I would be determined to respect Lily's wishes and stay away from her fancy wedding with all those rich people. The next minute I would be so angry I could not see straight, thinking about showing up and telling everyone exactly who I was. I tried to keep busy in my workshop, taking on extra projects to keep my mind off things. My buddy Jeff kept asking what was wrong. He said I looked like I had not slept in days. I probably had not. Lily tried calling a few times, but I was not ready to talk. Like, what was I supposed to say? Sure, honey, I understand you are ashamed of me. No problem. Her messages got more and more desperate as the wedding got closer. Please understand. I hope you are not still upset. I need to finalize the guest list. Like, the real issue was the head count for the caterer. Not the fact that she was denying I existed. I finally texted back, I will not mess up your big day. Do not worry about me. Short and simple. She sent back a bunch of heart emojis, completely missing that I was barely keeping it together. That night, I sat in my workshop staring at the scraps of wood on my bench. My hands moved on their own, carving like they always had when I needed to quiet my mind. I was not sure why I was doing it at first. Maybe habit, maybe hope. By the time the sun started creeping through the shop window, I was holding a wooden keepsake box, solid oak, polished smooth, with her name engraved on the lid in the same handwriting I used to leave notes in her lunchbox when she was little. Inside, I lined it with velvet and placed something else inside. A letter. Lily, no matter where life takes you, you were never unwanted, never unloved. I hope this brings you more joy than pain someday. Dad, it was not an apology, it was not a plea, just the truth. I was not the one walking her down the aisle, but the least I could do was let her know that somewhere in this world, someone loved her without conditions, without status, without expectations. The next morning, I drove to the venue, handed the box to the concierge at the front desk, and left. No name, no return address, just a gift from a father who had already lost his daughter. The actual wedding day, I stayed home, tried to work on some projects, but I could not focus enough to use power tools safely. I almost took off a finger with the table saw before I decided to just sit on the porch and stare at nothing. As I sat there, I kept wondering where I went wrong. Was it because I could not give her fancy vacations and designer clothes? Did I mess up in my part as a dad by working so much to pay the bills that I missed something important? Or was she just embarrassed by my rough hands and simple life? That night, around 8 o'clock, my phone blew up with messages and calls. Not from Lily, but from Mike, this buddy of mine who works maintenance at the fancy hotel where they were having the reception. He said we had done some contract jobs together over the years, fixing stuff around the hotel. He said, dude, you are not going to believe what just happened, when I finally picked up. According to Mike, everything was going according to plan until right before the ceremony. The guests were all seated in this fancy garden setup. Then there was this long, awkward delay. People started whispering, checking their watches, wondering what was going on. The wedding planner came out looking stressed and announced there would be a slight delay. Then the bridal suite door burst open and Lily stormed out in her wedding dress, mascara running down her face, looking absolutely furious. Turns out Nathan's father had somehow discovered the truth about me. Mike was not sure how. Maybe they hired a private investigator. Maybe someone from Lily's college days recognized her and said something. However it happened. Right before he was supposed to walk her down the aisle, he confronted her. He apparently told her he would not be party to this deception. He added that she had lied about her entire background and that her father was alive, a carpenter living across town. He then asked what else she had been lying about and if she was just after his son's money. He flat out refused to walk her down the aisle. He said he could not in good conscience give away a bride who would build her marriage on such a fundamental lie, and called her a gold digger right to her face in front of her bridesmaids. The ceremony got delayed almost 1 hour while everyone scrambled to figure out what to do. Eventually, Lily walked down the aisle alone, trying to keep her head high while everyone whispered and stared. Mike said you could practically feel the tension in the air, all these rich people suddenly wondering who this girl really was. And Nathan, he just stood at the altar looking embarrassed and annoyed, like her humiliation was an inconvenience to him. He did not even step forward to meet her halfway or offer support. He just stood there fidgeting with his cufflinks while she made the longest walk of her life alone. When Mike finished telling me what happened, I felt nothing. Not happiness that she had been caught in her lie. Not satisfaction that karma had come around, just this empty feeling in my chest. This was not how I wanted things to go. I never wanted her to be humiliated. I just wanted her to be proud of where she came from, of the life we had built together, despite all the challenges. I thanked Mike for letting me know and hung up, wondering if I should reach out to her. Before I could decide, my phone rang again. It was Lily, and man, she was pissed. "How could you?" she screamed, her voice cracking with emotion. "How could you what?" I asked, genuinely confused. "Do not play dumb. You told them. You told Nathan's family about yourself. You ruined everything." I sat there stunned by the accusation. "I did not tell anyone anything," I said calmly. "I have not spoken to a single person from Nathan's family ever." "Liar," she shrieked. "His father knew everything, every detail. He humiliated me in front of everyone. He called me a gold digger. He said I was not good enough for their family, and it is all your fault." "Listen to me," I said, trying to stay calm. "I did not do this. I promised I would not mess with your wedding, and I kept that promise. I have not left the house all day." "Then how did he find out?" she demanded. "No one else knew." "No one." "I do not know," I answered honestly. "Maybe he did a background check. Rich people do that kind of thing, do not they? Especially when someone is marrying into their family." She was not hearing me. In her mind, I was the bad guy who deliberately ruined her big day, her chance at joining this wealthy family. No matter what I said, she was convinced I had betrayed her. "I will never forgive you for this," she said, her voice suddenly cold and hard. "Never." The line went dead. I tried calling her back a couple of times, but she had blocked my number. I sent a few texts that went unanswered. I even thought about driving to her apartment, but what was the point? She was not going to believe me. She needed someone to blame, and I was the easiest target. That night, I could not sleep at all. I kept replaying our last conversation over and over in my head. How had we gotten here? Somewhere along the way, that little girl who used to run into my arms when I got home from work had turned into someone who was ashamed of me. Someone who could believe I deliberately hurt her. And that realization hurt worse than anything she could have said. The next morning, I saw the story had made it to the local gossip pages. Nothing huge, just a little blurb about drama at the Henderson-Mitchell wedding with vague details about a revelation that caused a delay. But it was enough to know that Lily's humiliation was not just private. It was public now, too. I thought about reaching out again, offering support, being the dad who fixes things. But the truth was I could not fix this, and she did not want me to try. So I stayed away, gave her the space she seemed to want, and tried to accept that maybe our relationship was over for good. About 1 week after the wedding, I started hearing from mutual friends and distant relatives. Apparently, Lily was telling anyone who would listen that I deliberately ruined her wedding out of spite. She said I was jealous of her marrying into money, that I could not stand to see her rise above her upbringing. Emma, Lily's childhood friend, called me one evening. Emma told me she thought I should know what was being said, sounding uncomfortable. She added that Lily was really painting me as the bad guy here. "What exactly is she saying?" I asked, my stomach knotting up. Emma hesitated. She said that I'd always been jealous of her success, that I wanted to keep her in her place, and that I had told Nathan's father she was just marrying him for money. I sat there, phone in hand, trying to process this. My own daughter, who I had raised alone since she was 8, who I had sacrificed everything for, was now dragging my name through the mud to save face. There is more, Emma added reluctantly. She has reconnected with her mom. That hit me like a physical blow. Sandra, my ex, had walked out on us when Lily was little. She barely sent birthday cards, never paid child support, essentially abandoned our daughter to chase some guy to California. Now, suddenly, she was back in the picture. How long has this been going on? I asked. A few months, I think, before the wedding, Emma replied. She did not tell you? I asked. No, she sure had not, Emma confirmed. Another secret, another lie. I tried calling Lily a few times after that, but she had blocked my number. I sent a few emails that went unanswered. Finally, I drove to her apartment, thinking maybe a face-to-face conversation could clear things up. Big mistake. She opened the door just enough to glare at me. What are you doing here? She demanded. We need to talk. Lily, these rumors you are spreading, they are not rumors. She cut me off. You ruined everything. You could not stand to see me happy, could you? You could not stand to see me become something more than a carpenter's daughter. That is not true. I never contacted Nathan's family. I would never have said it. Her voice was ice cold. Mom was right about you all along. That stopped me in my tracks. Your mother, the woman who walked out on us, that is who you are trusting now? A tall, thin woman appeared behind Lily. It took me a second to recognize Sandra. 20 years had changed her, but not for the better. She had that hard look of someone who has lived rough. Jim, she said with a fake smile, I see you are still playing the martyr. I ignored her, focusing on my daughter. Lily, please, whatever your mother has been telling you. She has been telling me the truth, Lily interrupted. She told me how you drove her away, how you always tried to control everything, and how you could not stand for either of us to have our own lives. I stared at her, genuinely speechless. Sandra had abandoned us, left me to raise our daughter alone while she chased boyfriends across the country. Now she had somehow rewritten history, and Lily was buying it completely. That is not what happened, I finally managed to say. That is not what happened. I was a child. I only knew what you told me, Lily replied. I only saw what you wanted me to see. I looked from her to Sandra and back again, realizing this was pointless. Whatever narrative they constructed together, they were committed to it. I'm sorry you feel that way, I said quietly. When you are ready to talk about what really happened, I will be here. As I turned to leave, Sandra called after me. Actually, Jim, we do need to discuss something, the settlement. I turned back. What settlement? Sandra smiled. That same calculating smile I remembered from the divorce. For the emotional distress you caused Lily by ruining her wedding, for the reputational damage. We have been talking to a lawyer. I could not believe what I was hearing. You are suing me? Your own father? Lily stood her ground. You did this, Dad. You cost me my marriage, my future, my relationship with Nathan's family. There have to be consequences. I just shook my head and walked away. There was nothing left to say. The legal threat came through official channels almost 3 days later. A demand letter from some fancy downtown law firm claiming I engaged in intentional infliction of emotional distress and defamation of character, resulting in the loss of financial security and social standing. They were asking for $75,000 in damages. I took the letter to my own lawyer, who has been a friend since high school. He read it and let out a low whistle. This is garbage, he said bluntly, but garbage that could still cost you a lot to fight. What should I do? I asked. He sighed. Honestly, send a firm response denying everything. Make it clear you will fight it all the way and hope they back down. My guess is this is Sandra's idea, not Lily's. She always did see you as a meal ticket. I nodded, remembering how Sandra had tried to go after my future earnings during the divorce, even though she was the one who cheated and left. And Jim, he added, you might want to update your will and business paperwork. Make sure Lily does not have any claim to your assets or business if things get uglier. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with a legal pad, trying to wrap my head around everything. My daughter, who I had given everything for, was now threatening to sue me based on lies. With a heavy heart, I made the hardest decision of my life. I would protect myself legally, financially, and emotionally. I could not keep trying to reach someone who did not want to be reached. I could not keep loving someone who seemed to hate me. The next morning, I started the process of cutting ties. I changed my will, removing Lily as beneficiary, updated my business paperwork to ensure she had no claim to it, changed the locks on my house and workshop, and blocked her on social media. It felt like a death in a way. The death of the relationship I thought we had. The death of the future I had imagined. But I could not see any other way forward. Sometimes you have to accept when something is truly broken. The lawsuit threat hung over my head like a dark cloud for months. My lawyer handled all communication with Lily's lawyer, keeping me at arm's length from the whole mess. Do not contact her directly, he warned me. Everything needs to go through proper channels now. It was a special kind of hell, living in the same small town as my daughter, but having to treat her like a hostile stranger. I would see her car outside the grocery store and wait in the parking lot until she left. Once I spotted her and Sandra having lunch at my favorite diner, and I just turned around and walked out. It did not even matter that I was starving after a long morning of work. The business kept me sane during this time. I threw myself into it, taking on more projects than I could handle, working 12-hour days 6 days a week. Physical exhaustion was the only thing that helped me sleep at night. About 6 months after the wedding disaster, Phil called with news. He said they were dropping the lawsuit threat. He explained that their case turned out to be as flimsy as we thought. They had zero evidence. I contacted Nathan's family. That is good, I said, feeling empty rather than relieved. There is more, he added. Lily and Nathan are officially divorced. The prenup held up. She did not get anything. I did not know what to say to that. Part of me felt sorry for her, knowing her dreams of a wealthy lifestyle had crumbled. Another part felt she had brought it on herself with all the lies and pretending. One last thing, my lawyer said. Sandra has moved into Lily's apartment. Apparently, they are roommates now. That explained a lot. Sandra had always been good at manipulating situations to her advantage. Now, she had a place to stay and was probably draining whatever resources Lily had left. Life went on. I dated a bit, mostly because my friends insisted I needed to get back out there. I met a woman named Carol at a home improvement workshop I was teaching at the community center. She was recently divorced, had 2 teenage kids, and was trying to learn some do-it-yourself skills to save money on home repairs. We hit it off right away. She was straightforward, unpretentious, and had a great laugh. After a few dates, she invited me over for dinner to meet her kids, Jason and Megan, 14 and 16. Nice kids, a little wary of their mom dating, but polite enough. Carol and I took things slow, with weekend dates and family movie nights with her kids, gradually building something real. She never pushed for more than I was ready to give, seeming to understand that I was still healing from the situation with Lily. One night, about 1 year after I had met Carol, we were sitting on my porch swing after dinner. So, she said casually, Jason and Megan have been asking when you are going to move in. I looked at her surprised. They have, she confirmed. She nodded. They like having you around. So do I, for that matter. I like being around, I admitted. You 3 are the best thing that has happened to me in a long time. But, she prompted, always able to hear the unsaid things. I sighed, but I'm still dealing with all this Lily stuff. Still trying to figure out how a father and daughter end up so completely estranged. I worry I'm bringing too much baggage. Carol took my hand. Everyone our age has baggage, Jim. I have got an ex-husband who is consistently disappointing our kids and a stack of credit card debt from trying to keep the house after the divorce. You have got a daughter who made bad choices. Neither of us is coming to this relationship fresh and perfect. She was right, of course. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized I was ready for this next step. So, I moved in with Carol and the kids, converted their garage into a small workshop for my personal projects, and started teaching Jason some basic woodworking skills. Life developed a new rhythm, a new kind of happiness I had not expected to find again. About 8 months after I moved in with Carol, I ran into Emma at the hardware store again. How is she doing? I asked, unable to help myself. Emma hesitated. Not great. Sandra took off again a few months back. Apparently, she ran up a bunch of credit card debt in Lily's name, then disappeared. That sounded like Sandra. Where is Lily working now? I asked. Some receptionist job at a dentist's office. Barely covers her rent, Emma replied, looking uncomfortable. She asks about you sometimes when she has been drinking. I did not know what to do with that information. Part of me still cared, still wanted to help, but the other part remembered the lawsuit, the awful lies, the deliberate cruelty. Tell her I am doing okay, I finally said. That is all. 1 week later, I came back to the shop after a lumber run to find Lily sitting in her car in the parking lot. My first instinct was to turn around and leave, avoid another confrontation, but something made me park and get out. She got out too, looking nervous. She had lost weight, not in a healthy way. Her clothes were simple now, a far cry from the designer outfit she had worn during her time with Nathan. She looked older than her years. Can we talk? She asked. Is your lawyer aware you are here? I replied, my voice cold. She winced. I fired them months ago. That was Mom's idea, not mine. A lot of things seem to have been your mom's idea. She did not argue with that. I made mistakes, Huge ones. I know that. What do you want, Lily? I asked. I crossed my arms, watching her squirm. I want to apologize for everything, for lying about you, for the lawsuit, for believing Mom's version of things. She took a shaky breath. And I want to ask if there is any way you would consider giving me another chance. I studied her face, trying to gauge her sincerity. Why now? I asked. She looked down. I have nothing left. No money, no prospects. Mom cleaned me out and disappeared. I lost my apartment last month. I am staying on Emma's couch. Her voice dropped. I thought maybe I could work for you. Learn the business like we talked about before everything went wrong. I let out a bitter laugh. So, let me get this straight. You erased me from your life to impress some rich folks. You sued me for ruining your wedding. You dragged my name through the dirt, and now that you have hit rock bottom, you want a fresh start for me, just like that. She flinched. Dad, please. I know I messed up. I shook my head. You do not get it, do you? You sound just like her. Her head snapped up. Who? Your mother. I let the words hang, watching as the realization hit her. She used people when it suited her, left when it got hard, lied to cover up her own selfish choices. And when she ran out of options, she came crawling back, expecting everyone to forget what she did. And now here you are standing in front of me, asking me to do the same thing. Tears welled up in her eyes. That is not fair. I am not like her. Then prove it. Stand on your own 2 feet. Fix what you broke, but you are not dragging me down with you again. She let out a shaky breath, wiping at her eyes. I do not know how. I sighed. Figure it out, like the rest of us do. She stared at me for a long moment, then something in her snapped. She reached into her bag and threw something hard at my feet. The wooden box, the one I made for her wedding. You really thought this would fix everything, she spat, her voice shaking. I picked it up. A crack had formed on the lid. I did not expect you to throw it. Her hands clenched. Do you know how humiliating it was? For a second I thought you had actually shown up. But no. Just this sad little box with some note like I was supposed to have some big emotional epiphany. Did you expect me to break down crying? I exhaled. No, I just wanted you to have something from me, something real. She swallowed hard, looking away. You did not even read the letter, did you? I asked her. I set the box aside. You raised me and now you are mad I did not. She fought back, tears. You should have fought for me. I did for 20 years, hardest when you did not need me. Her chin trembled. I reached into my wallet, pulled out a few $20 bills and held them out. This is all I can offer you now. A little help while you find your own way. She stared at the money, jaw clenched. I do not want your charity, she said. It is not charity. It is a choice, just like you made yours. She hesitated for a long moment, then finally took the money with a trembling hand. As she turned to leave, I called after her, Lily. She stopped, but did not turn around. What are you going to do when the next rich guy lets you down? I asked. She tensed up, then got in her car and drove away without another word. I laughed and just turned back to my workshop, picked up a piece of unfinished wood, and got back to work. I did not care what she was going to do. She learned her lesson, but she lost her dad through it. That night, I told Carol everything, every word, every look, every moment, where I thought maybe things could have gone differently. She listened the way she always did, quietly, without judgment, letting me get it all out before she finally spoke. So, are you okay with how you left things? She asked. I stared at the ceiling for a second before answering. I do not know if okay is the right word. It sucks. It really sucks. But yeah, I think it was the right thing to do. She has got to figure things out on her own. I cannot keep being the guy she comes to only when she is drowning. She reached over and squeezed my hand. For what it is worth, I think you handled it the best way you could. You did not slam the door, but you did not let her walk all over you either. That is not easy. Yeah, well, nothing about this has been easy. Before she could respond, Jason and Megan burst into the room already mid-argument. I just shook my head, letting their voices wash over me. Jason was sprawled on one side of me. Megan, half distracted, but still ready to argue, sat on the other side, typing furiously, but throwing in a quick eye roll every now and then. Carol sat back amused, letting them go at it. And as I sat there in the middle of this little world we had built, something clicked. Family is not always who you are born to. Sometimes it is the people who show up, who stay, who let you be yourself without making you feel like you have to prove your worth. It is the ones who argue over dumb movies and steal the last slice of pizza and make you laugh when you think you have got nothing left in you. I did not know if Lily would ever be part of my life again. Maybe one day, years from now, we would have a real conversation without all the bad baggage, or maybe we would not. But for the first time in a long time, I was not holding my breath waiting for it to happen. Because right here in this messy, imperfect, loud little family, I was exactly where I was supposed to be.